Mike, you're there.
I'm here.
Let's see if I can start my video. Oh, okay.
Good.
And I want to, let's see, I'll retype my name. Yeah, see, there's, I wonder how many. I wonder if you can keep going. Yeah, see, it stops right there.
Oh, okay. Let's see, participants.
So when you rename, you got so many characters.
Gotcha.
So like a long
Yeah.
organization, they couldn't fit. But Mike, if we wanted to put HMTRI.
Yeah, we could do that.
Oh, wait,
profile.
yeah, it's not even letting me do that. Oh, it stopped right there.
Let's see. HMTRI. I think it let me.
Oh.
I couldn't go too much further. Well,
Yeah,
you got host next to your name.
Oh. Okay. Well, I guess that's good enough.
No, that's good.
Mike, before I forget, I just went in and with the weekly meetings that aren't PLC, I went in and took off the recording.
Oh, good.
Function. But I thought I'd better do that before I forget about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Good. Good. Okay.
All right. Well, are we going to have one or two people show up today?
Well, I hope. We'll see.
Hey, we got a lot of good information here.
We do, and going through the schedule, I welcome everyone and talk about same login, same time, same place, every other week till June 15th. And I'm going to emphasize that they send comments and questions to us. Just respond to the email that'll go out on Friday. There'll be PDFs at this point in time. We are looking for volunteers as presenters, and purpose of this PLC is to network, exchange ideas, get the latest news, what's happening in Washington, and brief everyone on current events. And then I'll introduce you to.
Oh, there's Corey.
Hey, Corey. Corey's
everyone.
Hi, Corey.
Corey's
welcome to the PLC.
Corey's hiding behind the curtain.
Well, that's good. Well, we've got one participant. That's good.
That's right. All right. That'll look good.
I can reveal myself.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. People do. So a lot of people will come in here and won't.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting question on protocol. If they want a question, I'm going to try to keep the mics open. But a lot of people will probably mute themselves. But if they want to break into the conversation or ask a question, they just unmute themselves and start talking, I assume. We can have it that way.
Or they can do it in chat. You can ask a question. What does everybody think about this topic or whatever? And then reply in chat, and then you can address it.
The issue with that someone has to monitor that chat box, which we can do. If we only have 10, I don't have a problem with them interrupting.
I can monitor it because I can keep the chat box open and see if there's any comments.
Okay.
After I give my spiel, I'll be looking at that and trying to keep track of who's here. And
I'm really hoping that we don't, that we have free enough flow that people will just ask a question or break in, or, as we go, because often you run through the whole thing and are there any questions, and no one's got any questions.
Mike, have I made you, are you a co-host?
I am not.
Let's see, how do I do that? Again, I got to go up to your thing. Oh yeah, now I'm making you a co-host.
How did you do that?
I went up to those three little dots up there by your name.
Okay.
And just, on where your name is.
Mm-hmm.
And then on your screen, if I click, there's actually also, if you look, there's a place to mute. So like if there was a bunch of feedback or something going on in yours, I could mute you.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
which actually is a good feature, because if somebody is,
that may have to happen if there's a cat or an animal in the background.
I can just go in and, like right now, I could mute Corey if we needed to.
Okay.
Can you do that?
I don't know that I can do that.
Just look on my screen. Put your mouse over my screen.
Okay, and then I could see mute. Okay, I could do
Yeah.
it on mine too.
Okay,
Okay.
so you can mute, and so like I said, if Corey had a cat or a dog barking, you could just
Okay,
hover over hers and just
Okay.
mute her, and that would be for the good of
right.
the call.
Now, we would ask people to mute themselves, but feel free to unmute themselves and ask a question or make a comment whenever they
Well,
want.
Now, you and Corey came in and you weren't muted, right? So,
Right. Well, I designed it. I can, when I come in, I don't have to, I could come in unmuted. So we may have to ask them to mute themselves unless you do it. But I want them to be able to unmute themselves easily enough.
right. So, well, that'll be interesting. And the
Yeah.
first person that comes in here, we'll see if they're muted or not. If they're
Right.
not,
Right.
then that means everybody's coming in unmuted.
Right.
So
And
why don't you guys try to mute me and see if I can unmute
Okay.
myself?
Okay, I'll mute you. Okay, now I'm going to click on this. I can ask Corey to unmute, but she won't be able to.
oh, she did.
Yep,
You there? Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
yep,
Okay.
I'm here.
Well, that may just be a battle if Buddy is in the conversation.
Well, that's nice. You have the option if you
yeah.
need to.
Yeah, you could unmute or mute. Taking names. Are you going to take names as people join, or
Yeah, I can do that.
I wonder if
Or-
we could copy and paste that that participant list. I don't know. Cirilla Frazier.
I think in the maybe something
Hey,
in the
Cirilla,
recording.
how are you?
Starla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm glad that people were able to get in. And Dwight, good.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dwight. You know, we're so used to just talking about weather at this point in time.
Right. Steve, you okay?
I want to, oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. And I'll tell you, hey, Nolan,
Oh, look
And,
who's here.
and I don't want to sacrifice what we used to do before we started. Like, it's sunny here in North Carolina. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Nolan is in some beautiful place, aren't you, Nolan?
He's muted.
He's muted. Okay.
So
Dwight?
see, I wonder if they came in muted. Maybe
Well,
so.
that's a good question. Where are you, Nolan?
I'm at home.
Oh,
in
okay.
South Carolina. It is beautiful to be home.
It is.
Oh, and I see your beautiful countenance. Hang on. I just saw someone else. Oh, and there's Steve
There's Steve. There's
Howdy.
everybody.
in his helicopter drone over the beach
Yeah.
from his high.
Dwight, where are you
high-rise
calling
condo.
from?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful state.
Yeah. Natural state.
It is. It is. SM Fisher.
There he is.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Now, S. Fisher is my colleague.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, her name is Shamika. Shanika.
Okay,
Shanika,
Shamika.
show your face. So let's see who you are.
Yeah, we want to, we're trying to get back to the old days as much as we can.
That's right.
Shanika, did you hear
Dwight,
me?
Shamika. Shamika, there you are. You got to unmute yourself, though.
Hello.
Her name
How
is-
are you?
Hello.
Pretty good. How y'all doing?
We're
Yeah.
good.
Fantastic.
Like I say, we're trying to be like the old days when we used to chat about the weather and who's had a baby and stuff like that before we get started.
Okay.
Part of our mission is really to find out the latest news, what's going on, and get to know each other. So that's fair game. It drives me crazy when we get into a room and that thing keeps spinning and you just keep waiting for the thing to start. So this is going to be a little different than that. So where are you, Shamika? Up, you're mute again.
Oh, she's muted.
There you go.
Okay. I'm also in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
Oh.
I should have known by the accent.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from North Carolina, but I grew up in the Midwest.
Okay.
I've been here for, 50 years, something like that. But I'm still a Yankee. You can't shake it. It's, I'll never be a real North Carolinian unless I can change my accent or something.
Well, you can move to Cary.
There you go. Cary is a Yankee ghetto, and
That's right.
I'm in Raleigh. Raleigh is
Nah, that's the South. You got to move to Cary.
Cary. I moved down here. Actually, I was supposed to go to Vietnam. Actually, back in the way back, and EPA called me and said, "We'd like you to be in the public health service." I said, "Well, I've already been drafted," and they said, "Well, we'll take care of that." And so I joined the public health service, and they said, "Well, we're in North Carolina. Can you come down?" And I said, "You betcha, I can come down." So I was down here. I was a first lieutenant in the public health service. But Cary, make a long story short, Cary was where all the IBMers lived. They came down from White Plains, New York, and they all moved to Cary, and we call it the Yankee Ghetto. Right now it's IBM and SAS. SAS is a big one. And
Well, 2 years ago, it was identified as such, not because of IBM, but just because that's where all the Northerners were moving and taking over. And so
that's it. And now they're taking over the whole town.
Yeah, with their strange ways.
Yeah, unfortunately. Back in 1970, it was a great place to live because it was a little rural and it was really nice, but it's gotten too big now. So I'm just looking to see who's in here. I want to make sure no one's hiding back there. Nolan, I'm glad you came on because I was going to pay you a compliment. Actually,
Well, don't do that.
Yeah. If you do that, you'll scare him off.
Well, it wasn't.
That's true.
I didn't make the compliment. It was one of the part of the evaluation where people said, "I really like that guy named Nolan. He was pretty good." It was good.
Nolan, I was going to send you that. That actually was written on an evaluation.
Yeah, that's not good.
Mike didn't get any love. I didn't, but you did.
No,
I've spent my whole career trying to stay outside of anyone's approval. And
that's it. Well, Steve's going to tell us how nice it is in Florida.
It's only 73 right
73.
now.
We're
You're gonna spoil us now.
yeah.
well, I'm headed down to Orlando on Friday. So
Are you? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Awesome.
Well, you wait till summer comes. You'll be hot down there, hot and humid, right?
From May 17th to October 17th, it didn't get below 70.
Wow.
5 months exactly.
Bravo, yeah.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Jake is here.
Yeah. Connect to your audio, Jake. We'd like to hear from you. We haven't started yet. There you go, Phyllis.
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Hey, good. Good to see you again. How's it?
Hi,
How's life
hi,
treating
Jake.
you?
Good to be seen. Life's pretty
Yes.
good.
They're good. Good. Phyllis, you gonna say hello to everyone? See, the thing about this is we can call. We know who's on the calls. On the old antiquated way, we did 266 of those old ones with some really major mess ups, but it's what we had, at the
Yeah, well,
time.
now we're moving into
Yeah.
the next century.
Yeah. How you doing, Phyllis?
Afternoon. I'm good. How are you?
We're good.
Hi there.
Good. You gonna tell us about the weather?
The weather actually is nice here today.
Oh,
I'll start my video so we can
yes.
be able to see each other. So
There we go.
yeah. Anyway, so we've had some cold weather, but today it's nice. I think it's supposed to be close to 60.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
You want to tell everyone where that is? Yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. we haven't gotten to know each other that well yet. You know, without these face-to-face meetings, we're not sure. It's like the Brady Bunch more than anything. Hi, Abby. How are you?
Hi, there's Abby.
Good. And Christine, how are you? Good. Good.
Good afternoon, folks. How you doing? How you
Good.
doing?
We're doing great.
Awesome.
We'll probably get started in a little bit. There'll probably be people joining. This is a lot different than the old free conference call, isn't it?
I really appreciate all your all's information and input. It's very helpful.
Well, you know,
Thank you.
one of the things we want to do with this is we want to keep it as informal as possible. We like small groups. We want people to come in and find out what the latest news is, what's happening, exchange some ideas, get to know each other. One of the things I think we could bring to the table is we could find out for you what's happening in Washington, what's current, what we're expecting to happen. This is going to be an important year with all of the increased funding that's going on a federal level. So again, for those of you just joining, we just started. So as I said, we're trying to keep this informal. This is actually a 266th PLC call, but it's the first Zoom call that we've had. And for those of you who are Zoom challenged, you can just stay after the meeting and we can work with you on that. And you have to remember, you can call in. One thing about free conference call is that we've had people call in. Art Shanks back in the days called in from I-5 and going down the turnpike in California. And I said, please, Art, pull over. He was going to present. He was going to be the presenter for that day. I said, pull over, will you, before you start presenting? And he did. But we've had people call from phone booths. And, well, you could call. And if you're on the road or whatever, in those invites you get, there's a number. You could just call the nearest phone outlet and they will connect you to our session, and it'll be the same number every time from now until June 15th, every other week, same time, same place. It's 2 Eastern, 1 Central. So again, pretty much like the old days, we're trying to keep it informal. Come on in before we get started, and we just shoot the breeze until we get enough people in, and then we get started. I think that as for those who just come in, again, what we're attempting to do here is informally try to get you the news, what's happening in EPA and around EPA and IHS, and with regard to job training. We want to try to exchange ideas between each other. That'll be the focus of this this cycle 26 of 10 calls. We're going to be hearing from different grantees what they're doing. In fact, right after this call, we're hoping to get some volunteers to talk about their program in the next. We usually go about three PLCs ahead, and just come in and talk about your program for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need slides or videos. Of course, if you have slides or videos, now we could do it. We couldn't do it on a phone call, but we can do that too. If you have a video and you want to just show a video of what's going on in your program, that would be great. So what I'm asking is any of you who would like to present in the next 3 sessions, just drop me a line. You could just respond to the invites, msenu@gmail.com, and we'll schedule you up in the next week or so for 2 weeks from now, and then 4 weeks from now and 6 weeks from now, so we could talk about your program. In addition to discussion of your program, we'll be talking about what's happening in Washington, what the latest news is, talk about some landmines, things to watch out for. We might be talking about particular issues on recruitment, retention, placement, or curriculum, if that becomes the topic that most people want to talk about. We're highly variable on that of what we do. Then after each session, we construct post-session notes. So you can, if there's something, you can jot it down, but you'll get pretty extensive post-session notes after on Friday around noon. Those session notes are going to be a little different than in the past. We used to try to embed them in your email. And there was a reason we did that, because people were reluctant to open anything in their email. So we just embedded it in the email. But as you all know, the formatting kind of got goofy, whether you're on AOL or you're at Google or some other mail platform. So we felt that let's just send you a PDF. So we're going to be sending you a PDF of the post-session notes on Friday. And it might be a little easier to read it or archive it if you want. All of this stuff will eventually go up on the website, brownfieldstoolbox.org. So if you miss something that we discussed about, or you have a question, you can respond to the notes when you get them on Friday and say, could you tell me about this person, or send me some link that you might have missed, or it might be in the notes that you're going to get. So that's kind of a rundown of where we're going. Anyone? Oh, of course, on the format of these, it's fine if you stay muted. If you've got a dog in the house or a child that might be a little noisy, but feel free to unmute yourself and just break into the conversation. Again, yes. Did someone say something? Okay. Just break into the conversation. And if you have a question, just interrupt me or Steve or whoever is talking and say, I have a question. Can you clarify this, or can you expand on it? I hate to kind of go through the whole program and then at the end, any questions and everybody's forgot what we said. So let's just do it as we go along. It's going to be kind of freestyle. So we'll just handle it that way. It's a small enough group that I think we can do that. So any questions on the format and the informality of what we're trying to do? Anything, any questions on that? Okay, well, we always go to News from Washington, and Steve has got some news and what's happening in Washington and with our partners. And Steve, you want to take over?
Sure, Mike, thanks. And good to see everyone. Happy New Year. Hope it's all, the New Year is going well and treating you fine so far. Starting with news from Washington, and I think we may have mentioned this in the past. I think we've known this for probably a month now, but the Brownfield National Conference was rescheduled to now August 16th through 19th, 2022. And they still refer to it on their website as Brownfields 2021, but I think they're going to probably rename it Brownfields 2022. I'm going to put a link in the chat box to it that you can have, or you can take with, or we'll put these links in the notes as well, so you have them. But there it is there if you want to learn a little bit more about what they're talking about. Like, I think some of the things aren't quite active yet there. Like, they often take travel scholarship applications, and I don't think they're working just yet, but that link will should take you there. Also, EPA community engagement calls are now happening, and I'm not sure if you're that familiar with them, but the US EPA invites environmental justice advocates and the public to participate in their community engagement calls. The next one's January 25th, and the topics on the next call are going to be the regional listening sessions on the draft lead strategy, upcoming grant funding and technical assistance, and ongoing EJ initiatives. So they're pretty informative. And I think they're only a half hour or so long. They're not real long. But again, it's called EPA Community Engagement Calls. And I think what I'm going to do right here, you need to register for those. And I think what I'll do is I'll just put those in the chat box also, so you have the link to it, and you can, if you don't want to register now, you'll have it. But it's worth taking a look at because they do cover a lot of really interesting topics. And along those lines, we've heard from our project officers that EPA is going to be planning a workforce development listening session, which is different than the community one, but this is a listening session, and it's going to be sometime around the end of January. We thought we would know by now, but so they don't have an exact date. It's to be determined. But they're looking basically for ideas on how to expand workforce development. And so, you know, your input would be not only welcome, but they're seeking it out. If they get additional funding and they're able to do things, you know, what exactly would you like to see them do? So this is an opportunity for you to participate in those sessions. And again, I'm not sure of the platform. They have used Clue-In before. If you're familiar with that, it's like a large kind of webinar type thing. I'm not sure if they're going to use that again or how they're going to handle it. But we have heard that they're looking to do this at the end of January. So stay tuned. If we get word on it, what we'll do is we'll just send you out, you know, like an immediate, you know, announcement. We won't wait till, you know, the end of the month or another, you know, time when we send out emails about the Connect newsletter and stuff like that. We'll send it out immediately.
I suggested that we have a four-word suggestion: more grants and more money. And
absolutely, this is your chance.
Hopefully this is our chance to do that.
Yeah, so we were really interested when we heard that they were planning to do this. So it's like, this could be potentially some good news. Also, that's pretty much the latest from Washington. I did want to share with you from us, you know, at HMTRI, we're also planning a 2022 mid-year virtual brainstorming workshop, similar in format to the one we did November 17th. We're looking to do it tentatively on May 4th. So we're giving you kind of a heads up that you can at least put that down as a placeholder. We're going to cover different topics, similar format, but different topics. And the last one went real well. The evaluations were very good. And we got a few good ideas too for things to do in the future. So stay tuned with that. But for now, you might want to at least log in the date. Also, as Mike said, the PLCs now are going via the Zoom platform. And I think in your email, you got a list of all the dates on there. It's going to be the same link each time, and we'll send it out each time if you don't have it. But that's pretty much the schedule. And you'll notice May 4th, we have a PLC planned on that date, but that'll probably be possibly substituted with this workshop that we're talking about. Also, under the, I guess, label of partner opportunities, I don't know how familiar you are with something called the Greatest Institute, and they have EST capitalized to stand for Environmental Safety Training. And it's a 2-week, basically train the trainer, that's going to be held May 9th through the 20th this year in person. Bettendorf, Iowa. It's basically on the campus of Eastern Iowa Community College District. And it's a train the trainer for occupational safety and health trainers. So if you have an instructor and they're a good instructor, but they would like some additional training, this is a fantastic opportunity because it's funded through NIHS. So basically very little cost. I mean, they pay for some of the hotel or most of the hotel, some of the travel. I mean, they reimburse a lot, and they cover things like the 40-hour wayside worker health and safety training, the 24-hour industrial emergency response, and then DOT hazmat awareness, confined space, hazard awareness and communication, and disaster site worker awareness. So they cover a lot of topics. They also, probably one of the most valuable things they do is give you the curriculum. It's like, I mean, that by itself is worth really a lot. Not to mention, it's a great network. So if you have trainers, this is a great network to be plugged into, because this group is actually, there's a name for it. It's a long acronym, CCCHST, and that stands for the Community College Consortium for Health and Safety Training. And so it's underneath a larger umbrella organization called PETE, a Partnership for Environmental Technology Education. And they've been doing this for probably close to 30 years. And training, and a number of our EPA grantees have gone through this training and have their members plugged in. And I mean, they do training all the time on other topics, and they always let you know what's going on. They have what they're calling now, they used to call them these refreshers, but they call them stay freshers now, where they're doing a lot of specific topics via the Zoom platform that have been really valuable. So it's a really awesome network. They're taking applications now. We're gonna, let's see, I think I can put in the chat box kind of an electronic application, or how you go about doing that. Let's see. But it really is a fantastic network to be a part of. And like I said, I know a number of our EPA grantees have availed themselves of this training. The other piece I wanted to just mention was, we just heard about this a couple days ago. We got an email from NIHS, and they are helping to promote a webinar put on by the Center to Protect Worker Rights, CPWR, and NIOSH. It's basically a COVID-19 webinar on some new they call it back to the basics, and it's going to be held actually tomorrow. So I know that's real short notice. And it's from 3 to 3:30 Eastern time. And if you're interested, what I'll do is I can put that link in here as well. And then if you have, let's see, if you have interest in attending that, let's see. Just a second here. All right, here it is, here. All right, here we go. Promise not to give you any more links today. Let's see. So anyway, that was something we just learned about and thought we'd mention it to you. It's a long link, as you can see, but it's right there. And let's see, that's about it. Other than you may have heard, we just got notice of this the other day, and Michael speak to a little bit, but Cecilia Martinez is leaving her post as the Senior Director for Environmental Justice at the Council on Environmental Quality. And I don't know if you've heard that or not, but that's Biden's top environmental justice official. So she'll be leaving the White House. So we just wanted to pass that along. I don't know, Mike.
Actually, that little bit of information came from Nolan. Thanks,
Yes,
Nolan.
yes.
It turns out, and it'll be in the notes on Friday. It's from a grist. It's a little one of those underground newsletters that no one gets. But anyway, she's leaving. She was responsible for President Biden's environmental justice platform. Now, the reason it's significant is she is basically the architect of Justice 40, And you've probably heard of it. We've talked about Justice 40 on previous PLCs. It was the second day that the president was in office and had a climate change, but very extensive environmental justice executive order that said 40% of the money we spend on climate change and will across all agencies will go to disproportionately underserved communities. That left a lot of question of what is an underserved community. And so the White House went about, and this is the Council of Environmental Quality, CEQ, went about saying to all the agencies, we are going to come up with this tool that will qualify all areas that are considered as disadvantaged, and all federal money across all agencies, including labor, housing, EPA, all across the board will be required to spend 40% of their money that would normally go to climate change in these communities as an environmental justice movement. So it became a pillar to the environmental justice. Those of you who wrote a grant this last cycle are probably saying, well, that sounds like EJ Screen, and it's very similar to EJ Screen. EPA has had EJ Screen, which we've talked about on these PLCs for several years, and they keep improving it. And it's a really, in fact, grantees, applicants were required if they were in a community smaller than a city to go to EJ Screen and identify the communities they were serving. Well, they've kind of identified in EJ Screen disadvantaged areas, but for whatever reason, CEQ decided they were going to have this massive tool that would tell all the agencies what qualify as distressed areas. Something like opportunity zones that we talked about in the past. The problem is they can't get the tool out. They haven't been able to develop this tool. And I don't know if that's linked to why she left. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Justice 40, and perhaps it'll continue if it'll be downplayed, or what'll happen as far as determining what communities are disadvantaged or not. And that's why we wanted to talk about it today. So if you hear about it, Nolan, have you got anything to add on that? Or are you just adjusting your camera?
No, I'm trying to unmute here. It's very important that where you can, when you can, you advocate that the administration remain constant and faithful to this commitment. It's huge in terms of the redirection of resources towards environmental justice communities that all of you serve. And so it's very easy when we start to switch chairs, especially at the top of the administration, that some of these champions, when they go away, their programs do too. So again, I know that advocacy among your elected officials is very delicate, but where you can and when you can, it's very important that you ask about this and promote this and keep the administration informed that this is a commitment they made. And you expect them, despite all the other wacky things that happen at the federal level, that they remain faithful to this commitment. It means a lot to your communities and your programs.
And it's interesting, Justice 40 isn't so much money going into these agencies, but it's within the agency how they program that money. For example, if EPA gets a certain amount of money that qualifies under Justice 40, money needs to go into disadvantaged communities, our communities that we're working in. So this is why it's really important. It doesn't mean that EPA will get more money. They may, because of the infrastructure bill, which we'll talk about, or Build Back Better. They may get more, and a lot of that will go into these distressed communities. But Justice 40 requires them, regardless of their appropriations, to redirect some of those budgets into these distressed communities, which wasn't happening in the past. So Thanks, Nolan, for that comment. It is important to follow these things, and that's one of the things that we do. We don't want to get political, but at the same time, you need to be informed on when you hear these terms, Justice 40. Now, the other interesting thing about Justice 40 is the agency, you would think that EPA would have been charged with Justice 40 initiative, but it really isn't. It's actually NIHS and through HHS, NIHS, National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, is organized under Health and Human Services. And much of this involves housing and HHS services. So NIHS is doing an awful lot, and you're going to hear a lot from NIHS about Justice 40 initiatives and what they're doing. EPA, not so much directly, but it'll be indirect, and we'll hear about it. You're going to hear a lot more about the Office of Environmental Justice, which has been around for 15 years or so. And they're the ones that are doing these sessions that Steve mentioned every couple of weeks. They're initiating that as a response to Justice 40. Yes. Yeah. Is that you, Nolan, again?
I'm trying to mute. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have dueling calls in my home, so I'm just trying to.
Anyone know anything about that? Hear anything that we haven't heard? Okay. Okay.
That was about it that I had, Mike. So
okay.
if anybody's
Okay,
got any questions on any of the training
okay.
or anything, just let me know.
What we're going to do the rest of today, we're going to talk a little bit about the 17th, the brainstorming session we had there. But before we do that, because we're on current events, let's go over the calendar of for those of you who may have submitted an application to EPA. We're in that long wait period, or those of you who are anticipating applying for the FY23 money. Now, the ground rules as we knew it when we went into this was there'd be 15 grants awarded. We're still crossing our fingers that maybe more will be awarded. We know there's going to be a bigger influence on job training and on environmental justice, but we don't know how EPA programs their money and whether this is last year's money or how this works out. But as we're scheduled, there'll be 15 awards recommended for funding. Now, the question is, when will that happen? It happens about 6 months after the due date, and that'll put us right around March. If EPA is working on all cylinders, it might be second week in March. You're going to get, and we'll send to you immediately as soon as we hear the organizations that were recommended for funding. That'll be, and I say these are organizations recommended for funding. Doesn't mean they've got their money yet, but they've been recommended, and they'll start on that path of going through work plans. If that happens in March, April, May, June, they'll be working with work plans, they'll get their package. You'll have to accept the money that you want to go ahead to work with work plans and get into this, make sure you're in the SAMS network and ready to receive money. And then by September 31st, that money will be out the door in EPA. It has to be out this fiscal year, so that will be September 31st. So for those of you anticipating that announcement, as we get closer to March, that anticipation will heighten, should be earlier. If we hear anything, we're going to pass that on. That is why that in May, we decided to have this mid-year virtual conference again. It was too early to do a face-to-face. We're chomping at the bit to do a face-to-face in Alexandria, which we do every year. But we couldn't do anything until we heard from EPA what they were going to do, and they weren't certain. And then a couple of weeks ago, they came out and said, well, we're going to be doing it that 16th and 19th of August. So that set the motion of how we could schedule our meetings. So we thought, let's do a virtual in May. And we're tentatively thinking, of course, May 4th. that would put us a couple months before the face-to-face meeting in
Oklahoma
out
City.
Yes, in Oklahoma. And we're hoping, and it depends on how things go, we might have a pre-meeting, which would allow us to pay some hotel bills for you. So we'll have to see how that falls out. And of course, we're all holding our breath on COVID and Omicron and the rest. But we're certain we'll do the May meeting. That will allow the new grantees, and there'll probably be about 5 new grantees that'll come in and to use existing grantees as mentors and try to help them out, get started. And those of you starting new programs to get started. So that'll be in May. And then we've got the August. Now, somewhere in there around June or July, there'll be an RFA, a new RFA for the 23 funds. I'm really hopeful on the 23 funds that'll be expanded both in money and number of grants. So we'll see. Any of you who may or may not be funded or are questioning this program, hang in there, because I have a feeling that this program is going to be expanded. So that'll be happening in summer, maybe July or August, and you have 60 days to respond to that RFA. During that time, we'll be on the PLC going through critical issues, how you might respond to the frequently asked questions, and how you might respond to the ranking criteria. You can anticipate, for those of you who are new to the call, it'll probably be similar with some slight tweaks here and there, but it'll be similar to the last one. But we'll be talking about that on the PLCs as we go along. Then, as I said, the money will go out the door to those grantees that were awarded back in March or April. That'll be out by September 31st. And then, of course, you're on your way, and initial cohorts or continuing cohorts will go on through the fall and in the winter, and you'll be set for the next couple of years. We're planning on a face-to-face in Alexandria in October. So you might mark off October. If there's a good month or a bad month, just email us, or a good week or a bad week in October, email us, and we can adjust things the best we can. So we're really hoping, again, in Alexandria, we'll be back together. It's changed. Alexandria has changed a lot. The hotels we used to use are now all condominiums. So we'll have to find a new hotel, but and we're going to pick up the hotel costs and most of the meals, and all you have to do is get to Alexandria. So we're kind of looking forward to that happening. So that's kind of the schedule we're going. Now, I want to try to keep these meetings short. Sometimes as we get closer to the RFAs, they get a little longer, but I don't want this to take up most of your afternoons. But I do just want to briefly talk about the 17th meeting. It was a brainstorming meeting, and we liked the way it went. We had some really good comments, actually. People basically liked it. It was different. It was comments like, good to hear what others are doing. Those of you who are on the PLC on a regular basis know that's what we do all the time. We shared ideas. We really liked the success stories. We really liked engaging with the group. I think the thing about the 17th meeting, it was brainstorming. We had these small groups. And for those of you who weren't there, we kept them small. We had a facilitator, Nolan, Steve, and I, to kind of keep it on track. And we wanted everyone to speak. And that was what was great about it. We had a lot of peer-to-peer sharing, and people were able to ask questions and get answers to them. And I hate to say it because he's here, but Nolan got the best compliments of all. They said he was great as a keynote speaker, and he gave us perspective about environmental justice. where we should be going with this program. So thanks, Nolan. And I also want to thank the people who contributed videos. Eric Shanks from Cyprus, Abby from Auberly, Ken Alexandra from Recycle Force, and Janet Curley, Santa Fe Community College. You contributed the videos, and they were highly praised. Everyone likes the videos, and keep it up. Even if you've got videos from the past, we're not looking for formal videos. I think some of the best ones, and those of you might remember Eric just taking an iPhone and walking through Cypress Mandela for about 20 minutes and say, here's our training pad, and here's our fit up suits, and here's our training rooms. And if you can do that, anytime you can do that, just take some videos with your camera. Formal ones are fine, they're great, but even informal ones, and we can show them both at the PLCs, but especially we show them in after hours. The May 4th brainstorming session will be very similar to the November 17th one. It's going to be small groups, after hours videos. We're only going to focus on 3 things. That'll be determined by you all, what's most relevant. We're going to have a lot of new grantees and people starting up their programs, so that we want to keep that in mind. So we're going to focus on just a few things, small groups, maximum amount of talking and exchanging of ideas, and that's where we want to go with that. Actually, that's where we want to go with these PLCs, and that's kind of the spirit of the whole project that we're doing. Just a few before I end, a few things that came out of that, throwing out a couple ideas. And we did a Connect issue that, if you want a copy, I think we may have sent you a copy already, but in the last issue of Connect, we did a summary of the November 17th brainstorming session that goes in more detail, but a lot of the ideas that were brought up centered around our students. A lot of them had to do with retention and building up their self-esteem, and how can we best build up the self-esteem of our students. Many of them have been beaten down by one thing or another, and how do we go about focusing on their strengths and how the program can make them something special. And along with that goes to the peer-to-peer mentoring, but peer-to-peer mentoring isn't bringing in from someone from the outside. It's often from the inside, someone they could relate to, someone like them who have had similar experiences, good or bad, that could talk to them on and been a success and have gone through this program and has worked for them. And I know Ken has many stories like that we'll hopefully be sharing in future PLCs. The importance of doing community service projects if you can. There was some interesting ideas that we should all be aware of, or some of our programs. They were concerned about, the students and the length of our programs. These students need money. And again, I go back to Ken. He's got a way with a social enterprise where his participants can earn a wage and they can go through this program. But if you're talking about an 8-week program with no means of sustenance, it's very difficult. And how can you get that, whether it's through scholarships, internships, social enterprise, donations from people? How do you do that? Or do you readjust your program to make the weekends and nights and that type of thing? But there was a lot of concern about the students, and I think that was really a good thing. Of course, on the other side of that, they talked about what happens when you have a bad apple. What if you have a guy who's just bitter and he's determined to badmouth the program, whether it may be just he badmouths everything, and he comes into that program and he poisons it. And I think there was a consensus of everyone. Some said you try to work with them, but many said you got to get rid of them as fast as you can. because he'll destroy your program and retention. So these are the kind of ideas that came out of it, and even including placement of how we go about placing our students and our partnerships. The overall comments that were made regarding partnerships and employment was, your employers are your partners, but you got to get them involved in the program as fast as you can and as much as you can in any way, whether they're donating equipment, whether they're doing adjunct faculty work, whether they're giving a lecture. Even if you don't need them to lecture, have them come in and lecture, talk about what they're doing, have them go to graduation, have them go to informal nights. The whole idea is if they're immersed with the students, they may pick out students that they want to hire before they've even graduated. And in fact, they may even try to steal them out of your program. So, but that's a good thing in many ways. So the whole idea there is engage. And then your advisory committee, make sure you get those employers on your advisory committee. So there were, as I said, there were a lot of interesting things that we'll be talking about later, more specifically, that came out of that November 17th meeting. And we'll kind of continue that discussion moving into the May time period. So any of you, anyone have anything that they'd like to discuss before we call it a day or an afternoon? Any comments? Anyone have? I do have a question and a request that we would like some volunteers. And even if you've presented something recently, every PLC has new people, and we have people that returned, and we have a list of 500 people, and one of the things we ask is people come and go, hopefully come, and so we've always got new people on the call. So if you would like to spend about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes telling us about your program, just send it to me on the invite, msenu@gmail, that you could sign me up for a future PLC call, and I'll throw out some dates for you, and you could pick one of those dates where we can highlight your program. I think it's good for everyone to learn from your generosity of what you're doing, what works and what doesn't work. So,
Mike,
yes.
I'm going to throw some more information about the CCCHST trainer. I sent the link, but there's also a name, a contact person, an email address, and by the way, a due date of February 28th. So you got plenty of time if you're interested in that. But I want to put that in the chat box so you have it.
Good.
There you go.
Any questions? Are you all using Zoom pretty well these days? Is it? You're probably zoomed out like I am. I mean, we had 1 week. It seemed like there was Zooms, Stay Freshers, or some sort of EPA thing that was almost like every day. It was just so much. That's why we're going to try to keep these down to about half hour, no more than 45 minutes. So, Ken, how's it going?
Good. I have, I'm zoomed out, but I'm okay. I recovered from the Zoom calls. I'm gonna start playing Commodores. Lionel Richie, Zoom baby, I like to fly away.
I like it. I like
But
it.
everything's going okay. I don't know if you know, I had a health bit back in October. I had heart surgery, and I'm recovering very well.
Wow.
So we're doing pretty good as an organization, Recycle Force. We're growing, and we're going to have our new $12 million building built this year, and hopefully it'll be completed by the end of the year or the first part of 2023.
Sweet.
Awesome.
But it's been publicly announced, so I'm okay with saying it. So.
How many have you all had COVID at all? Has it been really a problem? Or raise your hand. Anyone have it? Or yeah, Abby, you got it. You got it too.
I don't
I've
have
had it. I've had it.
You all have had it. Wow. It's
had the Pfizer shot and the booster shot. But
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think I'd like to think I'm bulletproof, but I don't think so. I think this thing is spreading like crazy. Is it going to affect your program, do you think? Your training sessions?
I mean, what we did in the beginning of the COVID-19 is we put some safety matters in place. And we had to go back to those. Everyone must wear a mask, 6 feet distancing. And we have an organization that comes in and provide testing as well as shots for our participants. So we have over 60 participants, and so we want to stay on top of it. So
Nice.
I mean, we take it serious, very serious.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. This is a tough time. It's a tough time for a lot of reasons. It's a tough time recruiting. And once you recruit it, is keeping them in the program. It's very tough. Well, anything else? Let's meet back here in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll have a volunteer to talk about their program. And on Friday, you'll be getting some post-session notes with all the addresses that Steve put up on the board, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, well, talk to you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good-
Good to see you
Have a
all.
good
you.
rest of the
Good
week.
seeing. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everyone. Peace.
Happy New
Yeah.
Year, everyone. Thank you.
Yes,
Happy New Year.
yes.
Stay safe.
Thanks. Thanks,
We're gonna
Nolan.
try. Yep. Thanks, Nolan. See, we even mentioned your name. We didn't know you were coming. We would have mentioned it anyway.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Something about WITSEC says I'm not supposed to be identified. But I appreciate it, you guys.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
You too. Say hello to Jennifer.
Will do.
Steve,
Yes.
do you want to, well, I'll be preparing notes, and you want to send, well, let's see. Were you able to get everyone's name?
I think so. There was one named Christine that I just got Christine, and
Okay.
then something I got sidetracked, but I got everybody else's name.
Oh,
I
good.
just don't know where they're from.
That's fine.
And like Shamika
Yes.
Fisher, I have no idea how to spell that, but
Okay. Well, we could,
yeah. No, I've got
Good.
all, and I don't think there was anybody here from EPA that I could
no,
tell.
no, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because I had talked to Rita, and they often have conflicting meetings.
Right.
So.
No, that's a good turnout, 23. Now that included you, me, and Nolan.
It was a good session, and I hope we could continue. And I'm hoping that we got some volunteers. It'd be nice to get 3 volunteers in the next couple of days. And if we don't get any, then we'll start sending out some emails. And but I think it was great.
I don't know if you're going to try. We could try to capture the save the chat.
Sure.
I can click on that. I can't remember. It goes somewhere on my.
Does it?
Yeah.
When I go to these Zoom meetings, I just copy the whole thing and then put it in I just put it in a Word file.
Yeah.
Which I could do now.
Yeah, I probably could do that too. It just, I know it saves, and I did save it. I'm just.
Oh, it does. See, I didn't even know that saves.
Yeah, see, if you click on the 3 dots, the thing right above at the top says save chat.
Oh, we just don't know. It'll go to Josh probably.
No, well, I thought it went to my computer, but I'm not sure.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah, they used to, but now, I signed on as Josh, so I'm not sure if it goes to his or mine. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, there it is, I think. Yeah, I got the
3
the
dots
notes.
at the top. Where?
Okay, Mike, if you go back to the chat, okay, Okay, you're down in chat box.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you look down where it says two, and then, it says everyone.
I
Down at
see
the
to
bottom.
everyone, right?
Yeah, so if you scroll over there, there's a happy face, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
there's 3 dots. Click on
How
those 3
about that?
dots, and then the first thing up above is save chat. Now,
Oh.
I found it. It went into a folder of mine called Zoom,
How
and
about that?
they're all there. Meeting.
Son of a gun.
Save. Yeah.
You learn something every day.
Yeah. So all of that. I mean, it's good to just practice that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably good if we're recording it that we keep a chat history of it as well.
Right. Question.
Yeah.
I wonder, can we start the recording at 2? We're recording all our trash talk.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And anyone, for example, anyone who wanted to see, I am happy to let people know this is an informal group. It's not a formal.
No, Mike.
deal.
Well, okay. Up at the top, if you look now.
Right.
Okay, if you scroll over from the red
Says
dot that says
recording.
recording, you go
Right.
over to that far dot. I'm going to click stop recording.
Okay, so can you start again?
Let's see. Are you
Okay,
sure you want to stop the recording?